Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us. Cinda, you could stay in the middle. Welcome, everyone, to our final lecture of the season. I'm very grateful that you pulled yourselves out from the good weather to join us. And it's been a wonderful season. I'm glad for all of you who have been joining us for today and for more than one lecture or all the lectures. I've certainly learned a lot, and mostly I've learned that our audiences are thirsty to learn more about the music, about our musicians. I feel I get more out of the concerts knowing what I know from these lectures, and I have plans in place to continue that into next season. Good, I'm glad. So I will take this moment to also thank my intrepid team who's helped me pull these lectures off every month. Laura Mudge and Jim Kent in the back are here with smiles on every time, quickly to set up and quick to turn around the video recordings for audiences who are not here in person. So thank you both, Laura and Jim, and their assistant Marbles, who also helps them. And then I thank our volunteers who would set up the chairs for us. We could not do what we do without the Symphony volunteers. Thanks to Caitlin, who manages those volunteers, we have a growing and enthusiastic group of volunteers. So if you're interested in joining, please let me know. And of course, I thank our sponsors, Pinnacle Pharmacy and Long & McQuaid Musical Instruments, for underwriting this program and making it available for you in an affordable fashion. So today's lecturer was newly scheduled, our principal viola player, Sevilya Hendrickx. Scott McInnes will very likely be rescheduled for next season, so we won't miss out hearing from him. Sevilya is one of our local musicians. She's from Port Alberni, but that is not the most interesting thing about her. Over the last couple of years, I've had the pleasure of spending some time with her, and to my delight, she is a very interesting, very deep-thinking, and very funny person, and I know we'll see some sides of that today. She's going to share with us her path to the Vancouver Island Symphony, and let's hear the stories that she will tell. So please welcome Sevilya Hendrickx.
First of all, I would like to thank you all for being here. It's such a pleasure for me, really. I get to know so many great people. And today isn't going to be a traditional lecture when somebody just speaks and you sit and quietly listening. That's not what I want, and that is not who I am. I want it to be a discussion, a dialogue. If any time, at any point, you feel like you want to ask me anything at all, or share anything about your personal journey, please do so. For me, it's very important just to feel the connection with all of you. I did not establish actually the plan for today's dialogue. I don't like to write anything down. I don't like anything set in stone. I like the flow, the natural flow of everything. I think that's the only way how we can perceive life in a movement, in a changeable matter. So I'm just going to, actually another reason to it. I'm a very changeable person, a very changeable human being. A person who fell asleep yesterday is not the person who woke up today. So it wouldn't make much sense to write down anything at all, because today I feel just different. So I'm a classical musician, as you know, but I'm a third-generation classical musician. Both of my parents are classical musicians, as well as my grandmother. But she wasn't a classical musician, she was a famous, really famous folk singer. I was born in a non-existing union at the moment, at the Soviet Union. And it's a unique life experience, I tell you, because the beliefs, the traditions that Soviet Union held no longer exist. So I do hold the memories from that time, and I cherish them. So whatever I'm going to tell you today is not an ultimate truth. First of all, it only applies to that time frame when I was born and from my personal perspective. So the things that I tell you are no longer perhaps valid in the 2026. My memory is from Central Asia. I was born in Central Asia, in Tashkent, in the capital city. In 1986, as I mentioned, both of my parents classical musicians, so it was my absolute dream to become a musician as well. But I think it's very important to mention the political situation at that moment. In any person's life, it's very important what's going on around you, not just within yourself. I will jump back to this, but this memory suddenly came to my mind. Many years later, I'm going to be studying with one of I think he was my last professor. And I came to play something for him, and he stopped me. He was like, I'm not interested in that. So tell me, what do you know about the composer's life? What was going on in his life when he wrote the piece? What was happening in the country? What was happening in the world? And to be honest, I got a little mad. I was like, I practiced so hard. Why are you asking me all those questions? Those are non-important questions. I think I was ignorant back then. Now I understand what it actually meant. You get a different level of understanding when you know all these things. This is no longer a shallow level of just playing the music. You become a part of somebody's journey, like a composer's journey, if you actually understand what he was going through and not just what he was writing. What he was writing was a result of what he was facing in his personal life. So yes, in the Soviet Union, in Uzbekistan, I lived a very comfortable life, I thought. I was an average kid. And I really liked it there. It's a very hot, warm country. It's an Islamic country. Majority is Islamic people. And I'm a product of a mixed culture. My parents come from different backgrounds. And it was very, very challenging for them to get together. Why it makes sense for me to share it with you, because that's sort of established within me that people of different cultures, different backgrounds can live peacefully together and create something beautiful. When I was at the age of 6, I have an older sister. It will matter so much in my professional career. You'll understand later why. I have an older sister, and she's a brilliant concert violinist at the moment. She's a solo violinist. She's 6 years older. And by the time I'm 6 and she's, 12, my parents understood that she's very, very gifted. She is very gifted. She was always very gifted. So they decided that she needs a better education. She needs to be introduced to world-known artists. So they decide to move her to Moscow. And it's just happened that way that Soviet Union fell apart at the same time. So we moved, not all together. First, my sister moved at the age of 12. She stayed by herself in Moscow. It's when I see the kids nowadays being 12 years old, it's very difficult to even imagine somebody living on their own. So she lived in a boarding school for about a year. And then my parents decided to move all together to Moscow. And I'll be honest with you, it was the most difficult time of my life. I didn't like it there. The weather was awful. They've taken me from deserty country to the country where it's minus 35, minus 37, stable for the winter time, which lasts about 9 months out of the year. And plus we faced a quite challenging, financially quite challenging times. And I've told my parents I want to be a classical musician as well. they tried to discourage me. They said, you don't understand how hard it's going to be, and you will be always underpaid. And that obviously didn't stop me, you see it. That didn't stop me. And I remember my dad told me, you know, your childhood will be taken away from you if you're about to become a classical musician. You'll be majority of the time like locked up in a room practicing. You're not going to have much time playing with other kids, etc. And I'll be honest with you, I wanted my childhood to be taken away from me because I faced a conflict. I didn't want to move from Central Asia. I did not. So I was in Moscow, where I could not necessarily fit right away with other kids and regular school. It was challenging for me. So music became for me an escape. And now I understand it was an escape. Back then, I probably just intuitively did something. I've really enjoyed practicing. I've really enjoyed the freedom that the music gave me, which I could not necessarily have in my regular physical life, again, because of my parents' financial situation, etc. But in my head, in my consciousness, while playing the music, I could do everything and anything I ever wanted. So to this day, arts in general, music, give me the freedom. It frees me from any problem. So I became a violinist. But as I mentioned previously, my sister is a brilliant violinist, and she's 6 years older. And at a very, very young age, I understood that I forever will be in her shadow. That's naturally what happens, right? When your sibling who is much older is very gifted. I don't think I'm the first one. I don't think I'm the last one in this situation. And I'm very honest about it. And again, that's if that didn't happen, I wouldn't be playing the viola today. If I didn't have my sister, to be always compared to. And classical music world and in Russia, pretty much anywhere else, any country I would go to, it seemed to be very broad, the classical music world, but it's also somehow very narrow. Everybody knows each other. Everybody knows each other. If you know one in a country, you can be introduced to everybody. So growing up, I was always compared to my sister that was way more advanced than me. And at a young age, I can't say I didn't like that, but I didn't want to be compared to anybody. I wanted to do something where I could be the first one. And my mom is a violinist, my father is a pianist, and my sister is a violinist again. So I joined music college first, and then the conservatory in Moscow. It's a very, very extremely competitive environment. I think the most competitive anywhere I've been in the world later on. Moscow was the most competitive one in the classical music world. Maybe because Russia back then and still now producing plenty of fantastic classical musicians. So I joined a conservatory. And my sister gets a job at a jazz club. She's a classical musician, but she gets a job at a jazz club. And she invited me to come and to see her play. I think I was underage. Yes, I was underage, yes. Nowadays you can't go in places if you're below 19. Back then you could. So yeah, I decided to go and see her, and it just happened that way, that the director, she was American Russian, she saw me and she offered me a job. She said, I just see the way you're interacting with the public. She never heard me play. She said, I just see you interacting with the public. I want you to come work with us. I was like, I don't know how to play jazz. She was like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, you're going to bring me lots of money. That's all I care for. And I did. So the next thing I knew, I joined the jazz club. And I'm not a jazz musician, I'll be honest with you. All my improvisations were written down by the actual jazz musicians that I learned by heart. But oh well, now we get into the most exciting moment. One day, I'm working with a few of my colleagues. I was also the youngest one there. I think I was 17 years, and my colleagues were 45, 47, yeah. And a man walks into the space. He didn't look anything, in traditional sense, attractive, anything like that. But when he walked in, I don't know, a certain burning flame down within him. I don't know how to explain it. It's just he had a certain energy. You could not look at anybody else except him. He was big. He looked like a beast. He was sweaty. He was drunk. He was swearing. And then I just heard people started speaking. Oh, it's him, it's him, it's him, it's him. I'm like, who is he? And one of my colleagues told me, he's like, oh, that's the guy. He used to work here before all of us, like 10, 15 years ago. He's fantastic violist, fantastic one. I'm like, oh, wow, okay. So I started playing immediately much better. I'm like, okay, professional musician is in the audience. Then he came to me, and he's a violist. He's not a violinist. He told me, give me your instrument. No, please, nothing like that, okay? He's like, give me your instrument. I'm like, okay, sir. So I gave him my instrument. He played so beautifully on the violin. I'm like, oh my God. Then he runs back to his car and he brings his viola and plays just as good on the viola. So that night when he left, I'll be honest with you, I don't even remember his name, but this man changed my path of life. Just one evening, he changed my path of life. When I walked out that night, I've decided that I want to be just like him. I want to be just like him. I want to be able to play on the violin and on the viola as well, just as good as he does. So I'm working at the jazz club and I'm studying at the conservatory in Moscow. I've decided I need to leave all that behind. I'm going to the Netherlands. Yeah, I'm going to the Netherlands. I'm going to be studying viola. Why? I still don't know. Anyways, happened. I applied to join the conservatory first in Rotterdam. I will graduate later on in Den Haag, but first in Rotterdam. And I had no viola. I didn't purchase one, but I had my violin. So by the time I did my audition to join the conservatory, I was playing on the violin. So the committee, they were just sitting just like you guys. They were all violinists. And I told them I want to be a violist. I'm going to do my entrance exam as a violinist, but I want to be studying viola. All of them sitting there, they told me, don't do that. Don't. Why? Why would you do that? They were like, you can make a very good career as a violinist. I'm like, no, I'm determined. I want to become a violist. So they accepted me, although it was an unusual exam. I'm playing on one instrument, but I want to be studying a different instrument. But I guess they believed my potential. And in a few weeks, I received a very half-broken viola. It was, I think, with all the respect, Chinese made. There's some brilliant Chinese instrument out there, but this one wasn't. Okay, this one wasn't the brilliant one. So I received a half-broken instrument, and they tell me in 2 weeks you have to join the orchestra, student orchestra at the conservatory, as a violist already. I don't even know how to read the autoclave at that particular moment. I've never seen it before. I don't know how to read it. I have a brand new instrument, and the conductor told me in 2 weeks we're playing Stravinsky, Le Sacre de Printemps. I'm like, okay. If you, how to explain it to you, the difficulty of that piece. Even if I was about to play it on the violin that already by then I played for 20 years on the violin, even then it would be extremely challenging. But on the instrument that I've never touched before, was beyond everything, above and beyond challenging. But oh yeah, I was always I'm brave, I think even to this point of my life. I'm brave to the point of being almost reckless, you know? I don't know fear in general. So it's like a new challenge. That's great. I'm ready to face it. And yes, in 2 weeks I was playing the Sacre de Pintin in autoclave. I can't say that I didn't make mistakes. I made plenty. That's how I've learned. But that was a milestone. You know, just not sitting in my room, studying it for many, many years, and then going to the stage and performing it. But I think that they threw me right into... they threw me off the cliff, basically, you know, say, fly, you know. And it worked. It worked. Almost instantly, I picked up different... It's a completely different way of playing. They look similar. I will get back now to my speech, but I just want to demonstrate you. I'm pretty sure you've seen many times the violins and violas, right? But I just want to show you, they look almost identical. They look like identical twins. But yet, I actually dealt with lots of identical twins. I always see the difference. I always see the difference, you know, they don't look the same to me. In my case, my violin is a standard size. By my size, my viola is, it's petite. It's very small instrument. I used to play on a much, much, much bigger instrument. But if I'm going to stand up, you'll see I'm not that tall. So it's immediately made a difference on my back. Now I have back problems. And I think lots of violists facing the same thing. When you're playing on a bigger instrument, then your body allows you to, you're going to develop some major problems with your body. So I'll just show you my, I have to hold my microphone, right, when I'm going to show my instruments?
To demonstrate, it's okay.
Okay. So, I hope you can clearly hear me anyways. So that's my violin. That's my viola. They're almost identical in size, right? They are. I'm going to play for you a tiny little piece on the violin. I feel nervous like a schoolgirl because I didn't perform on the violin for the past 15 years. But then I will play for you something on my viola, and that's where I feel confident about. Something that I still remember, let's see. It's a very delicate sound. My violin has a very delicate sound. And again, I played a very, very delicate piece. But just for comparison reasons, I'm going to play on the viola. And the piece that I'm about to play is by Bartók. They are worlds apart. The one that I've just played is by Kreisler. And this one is going to be by Bartók. I think you can immediately hear the difference, right, in the sound. It's a big brother. So where was I? I hope actually by playing both of these instruments, for a second I felt like that man back in Moscow in that jazz club. I think somehow I became a little bit just like him. You know, it was my dream back then, and so many years later I can say, you know, that we're sort of related. Yes, when I joined the conservatory in Den Haag, no, wait, first it's Rotterdam, then it's going to be Den Haag. I swapped from professors. That's the reason why I went from one conservatory to the other one. And professor in the music world means the world. It's not like a standard, with all the respect, a standard teacher. It becomes it's your mentor on many, many different levels. In my case, they became way closer to me than my parents. They would advise me not just throughout my professional career, throughout my personal life as well. It's a very intimate and friendly relationship with a professor. I don't know many... I'm not too sure what you do for living, what you did for living, but I'm almost certain that you did not have that connections with the professors that you studied with, right? I think it's a rather unusual thing, but very beautiful thing. In the classical music world, a professor means a lot. So that's why I swapped from one conservatory to the other. I would go from Rotterdam to Den Haag to join my last professor was there. I would continue playing both violin and the viola for quite some time. And again, my very last professor made a change to it. He didn't like it. He did not like it, and I understand why right now. He wanted me to focus on one thing. He said, I know that you know how to play the violin. I know, you've done it for many, many years. Now I want you to do something else with what you received, that new instrument. So because of my professor, I had to cut on all the works, all the jobs that I was receiving as a violinist. And just do the viola, just to play the viola. And at a very, very young age, for, you know, classical musician, I was only 21 when I joined a Rotterdam Philharmonic Orchestra under the lead of Yannick Nizet-Séguin. He's a Canadian conductor, very famous one, world famous conductor. I didn't have a permanent job there, but I was their permanent, sort of regular substitute for Rotterdam Philharmonic. I've played with, I guess, with every single professional Dutch orchestra. Yeah, pretty much. I played with every single professional Dutch orchestra in Holland. And yeah, it became a time for me to think about the new adventures. And as I've mentioned to you previously, I really enjoy challenge. I think that's the only way for growth. And I've already established a very comfortable professional life in Holland. And I wanted to do something else. And that's actually how I came to Vancouver Island Symphony. In 2019, I will do my audition. I flew all the way from Amsterdam to Vancouver first, then to Nanaimo, just to do an audition. And when I won my audition, our former conductor, Pierre, and a few of my current colleagues right now, they told me, how is it going to work? You live in Holland, and how is it going to work? I said, I don't know, but it's going to work. You see, it did work. I'm still here, right? I'm still here. I'm still working with the Vancouver Island Symphony. And I'm extremely fortunate, really. And I've played with many different ensembles and orchestras across the globe, basically. I've never met such a friendly union of people. Really, it's a unique experience. It's a unique experience because within any big organization, you're going to have, troubles with some people. I'm sure you faced it throughout your life, right? But in our organization, I'll be honest with you, it's a very calm and stable environment for everybody to show their best sides. So I consider myself being very lucky. I never experienced any sort of stress within our environment. That's beautiful. I've prepared for you a little piece by Mahler. Why I decided on Mahler? We're going to listen to a few moments of Mahler Symphony. I always think about what the time I actually going to be taken away from here, just like all of us. I think about every single day. I think it's a normal thing, I don't get scared. I just always anticipate, that I'm not going to be here forever. And when I'm fantasizing about it, I often think of what by the time I pass, somebody would ask me on the other side, who are you? What civilization do you represent? Who are you? Who you belong to? What music would I play for them to explain who we are? And I thought about for quite some time. And this particular piece, I think, would be the one that I would represent. I'll say that this is who we are as a human civilization. This is the piece that means the world to me, really. It begins, it's a Mahler's Fourth Symphony. Mahler is one of my favorite composers. I have many. I have a list of my favorite composers, but Mahler is particularly very dear to my heart. I don't think that Mahler is just he's not just a composer. No. He's an architect. He builds, out of music, he builds something so global, so it's giant. It's monumental. So his pieces. So it starts off very quietly and very intimate. I'm sure when I start playing the music, it will bring you to your own memories throughout your own personal life. But then I'm going to play a very loud section in the symphony. And the first thing that came to my mind when I was listening to it for the very first time, since then I've listened to it hundreds of times, I think if the Big Bang, and I mean the Big Bang when our universe was created, had a sound, that's how it would sound. That's how it would sound when all the particles just flew apart and created our beautiful universe. So we'll start off with Mahler, Fourth Symphony. It starts off really quietly. So if you don't hear anything in the beginning, it's not because something is wrong, it's just very quiet. So I'm going to forward it to that very loud moment, so prepare your ears, it's gonna be loud. The clock that goes for all of us, right? If you ever have a chance, please listen at home. I'm not gonna play just one movement. It takes 22 minutes. Yes, so that's why I only made an excerpt for you. But if you ever get a chance, it's a fantastic symphony. I think that's who we are as our civilization. That's what we represent. We don't represent. We do, in a way, represent all the destruction in the world as well, because there's no light without a shadow. Everything exists in a balance. But if anybody was asking me what's actually in your heart, how do you feel as humans, that's I don't need to tell anything. I just need to play this music. And you know what I've realized when I was looking at my screen? It's the first time I realized that actually there is you're probably not going to be, you won't be able to see it, it's too far away from you, but the cover picture for the album is Earth. I realized it now. I promise you, I did not know that, but I guess whoever listened to this piece perhaps had similar ideas when was creating the cover picture for the album, because it's our beautiful planet, Earth, but in the darkness. It's not pictured in that traditional, you know, bluish, greenish colors. It's all in the darkness. So yes, and now I'm, what are we at? Do you have any questions for me at all? Because otherwise I'm gonna go deeper. Oh, yeah.
So I mean, some people see an orchestra, there's a hierarchy.
Yeah.
It's an orchestra, and the violins always usually take the lead. Do you feel like a support player, or do you really feel that viola has an important role?
So the question was about the hierarchy in orchestras, and it's very true. So for many countries, there is an hierarchy indeed. And if I, as a viola player, feel sort of as an underdog in a way, I personally don't. But again, that's because I've had my career as a violinist prior to that. I've experienced all different sorts of. I've had my violin career, so I don't feel that I've been cut off something. It's just a different way of existence, and I'm very happy that I've done both, so I can capture those memories for myself.
I know what you mean, because I'm a baritone, and for like 30 years I sang tenor.
Yeah.
And now I sing bass.
Oh, so you know exactly what I mean, and you're happy with all your memories, right? And all your experiences, and they all broaden your inner world, right? Yeah. That's anybody.
What prompted you to make the move eventually from Holland to here?
Yeah, what was this? Sorry, I forgot to repeat the question. Why did I ended up actually moving from Holland to Canada? There are multiple factors at play. I wouldn't be able just to name one. You know, traditionally people would say it's for my family. And it's one of the reasons. It's one of the reasons. I gave birth to my daughter and I knew that's gonna be very challenging if I decide to stay in Holland by myself. It's one of the reasons. But there's another reason as well, multiple reasons actually. I thought I've reached my potential in Holland. As I mentioned, I played with every single professional orchestra. If I could become bigger and broader only if I decide to, at that point, if I decided to quit playing and become a conductor, for example. So professionally, I realized that this is it. This is it. For the next 20 to 30 years, I'll be doing exactly the same thing, playing with, exactly the same orchestras, which nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that, but that's not what I want from my personal life. I want to squeeze as many experiences, challenges, etc. within that given time frame that I'm given here. So that's the reason why I ended up finally moving. And again, if I didn't get the job with the Vancouver Island Symphony, I probably wouldn't make the move eventually. Not because, you understand, probably it's not for financial reasons, but I wouldn't be able to cut off my musical career and just focus on my family. I could never do that. Having my personality, I could never do that. I needed to continue doing what I'm passionate about. Yeah. Sure.
Kind of following up, I guess, on that, I'm trying to phrase two questions sort of into one.
Sure.
I'm wondering about your thoughts of the attractions and forces when you were considering the options from Holland between America and Canada. Mm-hmm. And I'm wondering at this point where your thoughts would be about making Canada even a more productive scene for classical music broadly.
Could you clarify for me one more time? I mean, you made the comparison between America and Canada, but I've never played in America.
But there must have been opportunities and attractions to consider that. Okay,
I got it. So it's a broad question. I have to repeat the question into the microphone. That's why I'm thinking how to shorten it. When I was considering to move from Holland, if I had any opportunities also in America and decided to come to Canada. To be honest, I've never, with all the respect, America is a great place, but I just never considered going to America to begin with. When I told my fellow classical musicians in Holland that I'm moving to British Columbia, not to Ontario, it's a huge difference in terms of classical music world, okay? They were speechless. They were speechless. They were like, what are you gonna do there? Chop some wood? I said, I'll make it work. I'll make it work. But again, for my Dutch classical musicians, they were in shock. They were like, it's not a place, it's not well-known place for classical music or arts like traditional arts in general, right? We've got lots of beautiful things within our province, but classical music is still, I think we're at the beginning of the development. We need more and more and more people to be involved. We need our kids to be raised with the music. And I truly believe that every single person has to study music, just like you have to be able to read. Right? Read, write, or count. It's a basic knowledge. So I think we have to encourage our next generations, just mandatory to take music lessons. They should be, it's a long conversation, but it has to be funded by the government. Why? Because it's part of our human heritage. That's why. And this is it. There shouldn't be any more discussion. How much money they need to add to it? Plenty, because we're protecting our human heritage. And you had the second question you mentioned.
Well, it was the current structures and environment in Canada, if you were to have ideas about changing those to promote classical music.
I will start, how would you promote classical music within the Canadian culture at the moment? As I've mentioned to you previously, we have to start with our young folks. You have to start introducing any culture, anything at all, any tradition at a very young age. But it's never too late. It's never too late. But I would start necessarily with kids. But anybody who is interested has to be. We have to emphasize as classical musicians. We have to emphasize our value. We're extremely valuable because we are donating all our passion, energy, etc., into our common human knowledge. So yeah, I would start with the kids first. But anybody who wants to learn anything about music should be very, very welcome. Sure.
This is more a political question.
Sure.
How did in the history Russians get to Uzbekistan?
Mm-hmm.
How did they get there? Just by expansion of Russians on the neighboring states?
Oh, okay. It's a political question. How Russia got Uzbekistan I'm thinking you're referring to the time when I was born in 1996, right? Because now it's no longer a part of Russia. Well, Soviet Union was established. It was a peaceful agreement between not just Uzbekistan. It was a huge chunk of the world, Soviet Union. There were many. I think Soviet Union stands for Union of Free Socialistic Republics. So Uzbekistan was not conquered by Russia. It was a peaceful agreement back then, just like a European Union at the moment. So it's sort of that thing. So I was born in I would say in a peaceful environment. It wasn't results of war. Probably was a result of war, some sort of war, because war was going on forever in our human history. But originally, whatever you're going to be reading in the books, it's I think out of peaceful reasons, people decided to join the republics. Yeah, sure. Anybody else? Would you like to share anything about yourself? I would love to learn anything. Don't feel like you're my new friends now. You are. Now you're forced to come see me playing every single concert. If anything at all you would like to...
Just because, so you live in Port Alberni, do you have an active teaching career as well there?
I live in Port Alberni. If I do have an active teaching position there, yes, I do have my own school there. However, because of the geographical reasons and mentality in a way, it's very challenging, not too many people put value into teaching their kids music. Let's put it that way. And I don't think they understand how lucky they are. I'm not bragging right now, but this is the reality of things. Not too many people with my experience in education gonna end up in Port Alberni. So it's not bragging point, but I understand how much I bring to the community. And I actually, do lots of discounts for kids. I don't do it for money purposes, I'll be honest with you. I do lots of discounts for the kids that, come from financially challenging families. All I care for, if I'm gonna put something in their heads that's gonna thrive later on in their lives, then I feel like, I passed on my knowledge. The only purpose of having knowledge is to spread your knowledge, to share your knowledge. Otherwise, it makes no difference. So I do have a teaching career there. However, it's not looking as big and as bright as I would want to. But it's not on, I believe it's not on my side, but again, it's just geographically, it's a very challenging spot. Yeah. Anybody else? 5 minutes? I thought you had a question.
I could have a question, but I'll leave it to the audience.
Yeah. Sure, yeah.
I always admire your shoes when you come onto the stage.
Oh, thank you so much. So you admire my shoes. Thank you so much. Yeah. I have a big collection of shoes. Actually, I collect not just shoes. I collect lots of things. I collect historical pieces. I'm a collector in general. And I collect people. I collect people in terms of that. I really enjoy meeting new people. I truly interested in learning them. I'm actually very, very interested. So for me, anytime I meet people, that's why I say I collect people. Anytime I meet somebody, I actually want to understand how they function. I want to know everything about them. For me, people are just like a collection of beautiful books, a library,
I do have a question.
Sure, Becca.
The shoe comment led into it.
Yeah.
You sit in a particular place in the orchestra. You have recently, I think this is your first season as principal violist, right?
Yes.
Yes. So can you tell us briefly how the hierarchy within the section works and how your role has changed as when you became the principal viola player?
Okay, that's my first year serving as a principal violist here with Vancouver Island Symphony, and how the hierarchy within my group works, and if anything changed. I think it's a very it's always going to be a personal thing, depending on the person. And I always tell people who come join my group that there are no restrictions type of thing. I know that they're always very respectful to me and to my colleagues. I never really correct them unless it's absolutely needed for the sound purposes, because I know that my position allows me to correct them anytime I need to, but I admire different people's personalities and what they add to the table. I don't want them to be unified in any way. And all I care for that there's sort of unified, beautiful and sometimes not that beautiful sound, because not beautiful sound adds to the beautiful sound. As I mentioned in the beginning of our talk, I don't believe in just light or just good. What's light without a shadow? Nothing. So the beautiful sound without an ugly sound time to time is also nothing. And it doesn't mean that we're producing ugly sound within a symphony, but ugly sound can bring certain effects to the music, beautiful effects, right? So how did it change my role? I don't think it changed much. I always felt as a leader, not because I hold a certain position, but because I hold a certain knowledge. And I don't push my knowledge on anybody. but I'm open to share if they want to know. So I felt like leader 10 years ago, and I feel like leader right now. And I don't think my position changes anything for me. Sure.
Sorry, I got one more question. On a recent concert, I noticed there were 2 string basses, 3 cellos,
Yeah.
4 violas, 5 second violins, and 6 first violins. Is that a usual balance, or was that a conscious decision, or was that just coincidence?
So at our recent concert, there was a certain setting. I hope I remember good. 2 basses, 4 violas, 4 second violins,
3 cellos, 4 violas.
and 6 first violins. I'm not too sure if I'm the right person to answer, but you know what? I've noticed that throughout my career, if players are being cut, they always bottom section for some reason. I hardly ever saw first violins being cut into, and I'm not sure why. I'm not too sure.
Was it more just for the sound profile, maybe?
I'm not too sure if I'm the right person to answer. Sometimes certain scores identify the exact amount of players that requires to play. If you could remind me, what did we play? I mean, I wouldn't be able to tell myself. I play so much music, that I wouldn't be able to tell. We play. Was it a modern? Dorothy Chang. So it was a modern, and we played the Mozart Jupiter. Jupiter we played, and yes, Dorothy Chang. I am pretty sure Dorothy would indicate how many players she wants. She's always very precise with things, and she was also very flexible. Wonderful human being. Very flexible. If something doesn't work, she knows how to work her way around it. And we played another piece, beautiful piece, but I don't remember which one it was. Also a modern one. So sometimes the modern pieces, you will receive the indications how many players should be there. For Mozart, obviously, whatever works, right? How many you can possibly get. Yeah. We're out of time?
Yeah.
Oh, we're out of time. It was so lovely to meet you all. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for listening to me. I hope you will take something with you in your heart about today's meeting. It's very important for me. I appreciate you being here. Thank you.
Thank you all for joining us. Go back out into this beautiful day. And we'll see you in 10 days' time at our last concert of the season.